Chapter 21. The Scout. The sky stayed the same color after you killed something in it. That was the first lie the brain tried to tell, the one that made people think violence was clean. The dart had come apart in a brief bloom of light and fragments, and then the ocean world had gone right back to being blue and indifferent. On Meridian's plot, the contact marker was gone. The timer kept running. Mariner kept descending. Captain Lena Ward didn't allow herself relief. Relief was a gap you could fall through. Recovery status, she said. Her fighter coordinator answered without looking up. One Viper damaged, returning. One Viper pair is holding high cover for a last sweep. The second pair is escorting the damaged bird home. Ward's eyes moved to the tender hull that served as the Zivile Flot's improvised fighter bay. It wasn't a carrier. It was a compromise welded into existence. A widened bay opening, capture rig bolted where it would fit, deck crew running on fatigue and stubbornness. "You have the deck," Ward said into the recovery channel. "Talk them in. Slow and safe." "Aye, Captain." Keane stood beside Ward, hands clasped tightly enough that her knuckles had gone pale. She didn't finish her thought, but Ward heard it anyway. "If we lose that fighter." Vance didn't look up from his trend lines. "We don't borrow grief. We manage what we have." Ward keyed the Mariner channel. "Mariner. Report." Captain Jessamine replied immediately, voice clipped and steady. "On corridor. Atmospheric bite increasing. No deviation." Shepard's voice followed, calm and close, like he was sitting at the same console. "She's doing fine. She keeps listening." Ward crushed a flicker of gratitude into focus. Gratitude didn't keep ships on the line. "Copy," Ward said. "Stay with it." Mariner's marker dropped lower on the plot, sliding toward the cloud bands. Above the planet's curve, the fleet held formation with restraint that cost real fuel and real nerves. Tiny thruster corrections. Tight comm discipline. Heat managed like contraband. They couldn't hide their mass, but they could hide the urge to scatter. "Escort geometry stays clean," Ward told Tactical. "No crowding the approach lane." "Aye." Vance finally looked up, eyes cutting to the empty space where the dart had been. "If a second scout comes." Ward's answer was immediate. "We don't chase. We don't scatter. We keep the fleet intact." Keane's voice was quiet. "People don't like intact when they're scared." Ward's jaw tightened. "Then we make intact look like safety." On the tender's improvised bay deck, the air smelled like fuel, hot metal, and the kind of fear that didn't scream. It concentrated. Deck Chief Marlowe stood with one hand on the capture winch control, headset pressed hard against his ear. "Talk to me," he snapped. The Viper pilot's voice came through with static in the gaps. "I'm in. Thrusters are sloppy. I've got drift I can't quite kill. I see the bay." Marlowe tracked the tiny craft as it slid in on cold, careful corrections, wobbling in vacuum like a wounded bird that didn't trust its own wings. "Keep it gentle," Marlowe said. "You're not landing. You're arriving." The pilot laughed once, sharp and joyless. "That's comforting." Marlowe didn't answer with comfort. "Rig is green. You're aligned. You catch, you cut thrust. If you miss, you break away clean and you come around. Do not force it." A second voice came through, the escort pilot. "I'm on his wing. His bleeding control." "Clear when he commits," Marlowe said. "I don't need a double collision." The damaged Viper drifted into the bay mouth. The capture line snapped out, a steel thread that didn't care about pride. The hook caught. For a heartbeat it looked clean. Then the Viper's nose kicked hard left and the whole craft lurched. "Hold, hold," Marlowe barked. "Hold it." The line went taut. The winch screamed. Crew braced instinctively. The Viper slammed down hard, skidding, one wing scraping the bay edge with a shower of sparks. The pilot's voice came through, breath ragged. "I'm down. I'm down." Marlowe exhaled once, slow. "Chocks. Now. Put hands on it like it's made of glass." Crew swarmed, fast but not chaotic. Speed without panic. That was the only way they stayed alive. The canopy popped. The pilot climbed out with a limp, face pale under grime, eyes too bright. Marlowe grabbed his arm. "You're alive." The pilot blinked like he hadn't decided if that mattered. Did it transmit? Marlowe didn't answer. That question belonged to people with sensors and nightmare budgets. He handed the pilot off to a medic and turned back to the bay, where one Viper was now a wounded animal taking up space they couldn't spare. "Secure it," he said. "We're not done today." Mariner punched through the top cloud layer and the world went grey. For a moment, the horizon disappeared. The ocean vanished into mist. Captain Mahon had instruments, Shepard's voice, and her own refusal to let fear choose for her. "Winds here at 2,000 meters, her nav warned. "I have it," Shepard said. "Let it push you, then correct once." "Small." Mahon's hands stayed steady. "Copy." The hull shuddered as the ship hit thicker air. Not violent, but insistent. Like the planet reminding her whose rules applied now. Then the ship dropped below the cloud layer and the ocean appeared suddenly, steel blue and close, a flat surface that could turn into a weapon if you met it wrong. Mahon swallowed once. She didn't let it turn into prayer. "She's on the line," Shepard said, calm. "You're good. Keep your nose. The surface cushion is going to feel wrong. Don't fight it." A small blip on her forward display showed the puddle jumper ahead of her, compact and impossibly agile, flying like a guide dog in a storm. And beyond it, far off, the city. Atlantis sat on the water like a thing the universe had forgotten to tell anyone about. Towers and spans of pale alloy and composite, metallic ribs catching light in clean, impossible geometry that didn't belong on any colonial chart. Even at distance, it made Mariner feel smaller. "Mahon," Ward's voice cut in, clipped. "You're doing fine. No new contacts." Mahon didn't ask if the scout had transmitted. That question didn't have an answer. All she could do was fly. "Final descent," Shepard said. 30 seconds to contact. Keep your vertical rate low. Let the flotation take the impact. Don't make it pretty. Make it survivable." "Copy," Mahon replied. Mariner sank. 10 meters. 5. "Now," Shepard said. "Hold." Mariner touched. A slap, then a heavy, rolling thump that ran through the ship like a fist. The hull groaned. The flotation assemblies flexed. For one breathless second Mahon thought something had cracked. Then the ship stopped falling. She was afloat. Not graceful. Not stable yet. But afloat. "Status," Mahon snapped. The chief engineer answered immediately, relief squeezed into professionalism. "We're floating. Assemblies holding. Minor water intrusion in a forward seam. Contained. Pumps are handling it." Mahon's jaw tightened. "Keep it contained." Shepard's voice came through, calm as if the universe hadn't just tried to break them. "Good job. Bring your nose 2 degrees. You're drifting left. Stay inside the corridor." Mahon obeyed. Small corrections. No drama. The basin corridor opened ahead, a broad gap between city sections, framed by pale composite pylons and engineered calm. "This is it," Shepard said. "Stay centered." Mariner slid forward at low speed, her wake a thin scar on the water. The city loomed. Mahon felt her chest tighten, not fear this time, but the pressure of being close to something that shouldn't exist. "Approach is clean," Shepard said. "You're inside. Keep it steady." Mariner entered the basin corridor. For the first time in a week, the refugee fleet had something physical to point at that wasn't a promise. A ship on the water, moving toward Atlantis, alive. In Atlantis, we watched the external feeds the way you watched someone cross thin ice. She didn't breathe freely until Mariner's silhouette slipped between the basin walls and settled into the corridor. "She's in," she said softly, mostly to herself. Dr. Mac Kay stood too close to the console, knuckles white on the edge. When he spoke, his voice was steady, stripped of theatrics. "They did that clean," he said. That's discipline. Weir glanced at him. They've had to be. Mackay nodded once. Yeah. Shepard's voice came over the internal channel. Mariner is aligned. I'm holding until Ward confirms stability, then I'm coming back. Understood, Weir replied. Stay sharp. We kept watching the feed. Mariner's hull rose and fell slightly with the basin's motion. Tiny corrections held her centered. A big ship in a narrow place, behaving like it belonged there. It was working. Not solved. Working. Mackay leaned closer, speaking to Weir now, not to the room. Ward needs to know this, even if she already suspects it. Weir didn't blink. Say it. A dart doesn't arrive from nowhere, Mackay said. They're short range. If one was here, something larger put it in this system. A cruiser. A culling ship. Something that can hide farther out. Weir's mouth tightened. And we didn't see it. Doesn't mean it isn't there, Mackay replied. It just means it's patient. A quiet knock sounded at the doorway. Taylor stepped inside, expression tight in a way we had learned to take seriously. We didn't ask if she was all right. She asked what mattered. What is it? Taylor hesitated, then spoke carefully. When the dart came, I felt it. Not like a ship. Like hunger with focus. We kept her voice calm. And now? Taylor's eyes flicked to the feed of Mariner in the basin. Now I feel distance. Movement. Like something turning its head. Mackay's gaze sharpened. That could be the platform that launched it, realizing its scout didn't come home. We looked back at the basin feed. Then we assume we have a clock. She keyed the tight beam. Captain Ward, she said. Mariner is in the corridor. We are ready to begin the first stage when you confirm stability. Ward's reply came back immediate. She's stable. We're holding. Begin when ready. Weir held the MIC a moment longer. We cannot confirm whether the scout transmitted. Assume worst-case posture. A pause, then Ward's voice, steady. Understood. Weir ended the call. Mackay exhaled once. All right. Next step. We start small, we keep it reversible, and we don't pretend the Wraith wait politely. Weir's eyes stayed on the screens. Agreed. On Meridian, the fleet-wide whisper began the moment Mariner touched water. Not over open channels. Keen had those locked down hard. But Rumor didn't need a radio. Rumor lived in corridors and mess lines and the way people watched screens like they were watching a lifeboat. Keen walked the coordination deck once, slowly, making herself visible. Not to comfort. To remind everyone authority existed and was watching. Ward didn't look away from the plot. Any sign of follow-up? Ward asked. The sensor officer shook his head. Nothing new on passive. Vance's eyes stayed on the long-range limit. Yet. Ward's comm officer glanced up. Atlantis is beginning stage 1. Ward keyed the channel. Weir. Proceed. Keep it controlled. Weir's reply was steady. We will. Keen leaned in, voice low, the obvious question finally demanding air. If Atlantis is accessible now, why not send a Raptor? A small team. Face to face. Calm everyone down. Ward didn't look away from the plot. Because we don't know where a Raptor can safely put down. Not yet. We're answered on the same line, as if she'd expected the question. I want in-person liaison too. But until we clear a landing zone and a safe flight path, I'm not risking a crash into an unknown section of the city. Major Shepard can guide a Raptor in once we've mapped it. We're not there yet. Keen accepted it, not happily, but rationally. So Mariner is the proof. Then the pad. Yes, Weir said. Proof first. Then pad. Then we move people. Ward ended the call and leaned slightly toward Vance. If one of those big Wraith carrier ships they call hive ships shows up, we can't fight it. Vance's voice was flat. We don't need to win today. We need to survive until we have options. Keen's gaze flicked to the plot. People are going to ask why we didn't run. Ward didn't hesitate. Because we're tired of running. Keen didn't argue. That sentence had the weight of the whole fleet behind it. Ward keyed the escort commander. Rotate cap. 1 Viper pair down for fuel and recovery. 1 pair stays up for 10 minutes, then comes home. No one stays airborne longer than necessary. Aye, Captain. A quiet alert chimed. The sensor officer's head lifted. Not panic, focus. Captain. Ward's voice stayed level. Say it. We're seeing a very faint distortion, the officer said. Not a DRADIS contact. Not a drive plume. More like an EFTA-like shear far out. Keen went still. Bearing. The officer gave it, a direction into the dark lanes between stars. Vance leaned in. Can you classify? The officer shook his head. No. Too faint. Ward keyed Atlantis again. We're seeing a faint spacetime distortion at long range. Do you see anything similar? Weir's reply came back after a beat. We see a faint anomaly too. It's not stable enough to be a gate event. It could be a communication artifact, or it could be nothing. We can't confirm. McKay's voice came in behind hers, controlled. If the scout tried to shout before it died, that could be the echo reaching whatever's listening. Or it could be the system settling. We don't get certainty today. Ward stared at the plot. The timer was still running. The window was still open. Mariner was still in the corridor. And somewhere out there, something had shifted. All ships hold formation, Ward said. No independent maneuvering. Escort posture remains. We continue. Acknowledgements came back crisp. Keen watched the crew on the deck and saw the moment the anomaly report spread without words, carried in tightened shoulders and quick looks. She stepped closer to Ward, voice low. If it did transmit. Ward didn't look away. Then we use our time to gain ground instead of losing it to fear. Keen swallowed. And if something arrives tomorrow? Ward's reply was quiet. Then we'll wish we'd done more today. On the plot, Mariner sat in Basin 3 like a held breath. Atlantis waited behind her, lit in small, controlled sections. Above, the refugee fleet held orbit. And beyond the edge of certainty, the first real answer began to move.